Auto Repair. Today we're going to be showing you how to change oil on a 2014 Chevy Cruze. Can I fix it? Yeah, boy! Are you done? Yeah. Okay. Bye. Bye. Alright, the first thing we're going to need to do is get this car on level ground. Alright, the next thing you want to do before we even jack up this car, we want to always set the emergency brake. You don't want to crawl under a car unless the emergency brake is set. Once your car is on level ground, the emergency brake is set, you want to get your jack and jack stands and get them set up on your car. The car is jacked up. I have the jack there also still up for a second safety precaution, and I got the handle there to keep that jack from rolling. But the car's sitting on jack stands. The next thing you want to do is you want to find out, because this Chevy Cruze has three different type of motors. It has a 1.4, 1.8, and a 2.0. This is the 2014 Ecotec Chevy motor. This has a turbo in it, and this motor is a 1.4. Now the 1.4 and the 1.8 have the exact same oil filter. This is the oil filter. I use Fram. You can use whatever oil filter you like. I like Fram. The 2.0 takes a different number, so you want to make sure you know if you have a 1.4, 1.8, or a 2.0. The oil filter is an oil filter canister, which is right down in here. It's in a hard place, so we're going to have to remove this. So that's the next thing we're going to do, is remove this, and we have to take this tab off right here. Okay, what you do is you want to slide this tab here back and push this tab down, and this pulls out, and we'll move this over here to the side. Next thing you want to do is loosen that screw down there. You can use a socket or you can use a flathead screwdriver. I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver. So let me get that off. Be right back. Alright, once you get that loosened, you have to pull on this. It's going to be a little struggle. It's going to fight with you, but we're going to move this over here out of the way, and then we can see right down in there. We're going to get that off. But first, let's drop the oil. Take off the oil cap first. That will allow the oil to drain out. Pull the dipstick out, and let's get underneath and drop the oil. Make sure you got something that the oil can drain into. Get you a rag or old t-shirt, and let's get underneath here. Alright. The wind is blowing pretty strong underneath here, so you have to be careful of that, because you don't want the oil blowing into your face. And you definitely don't want to do this when this is hot. Now that's the oil plug right there. You can use a 10mm socket, or in my case I'm going to use a 10mm ratchet wrench. Yeah, boy! Alright, we got the oil draining. No need to watch me show you how the oil drains, but alright, next thing you want to do is you want to get that 24mm socket, which I already broke it loose right here, and we're going to unscrew that. But first you want to be very careful, because I just replaced this like a week ago, and when you move this over to here, if you're not careful, see how that just slipped? That can slip and then break this. That thing is very fragile. Very fragile, and this will leak out your coolant fluids from your overflow. Right, so you want to be very careful when you put this here. You want to put it over there, and you want to block it off with something so it can't slip back, or hold your hand there and take this out very quickly. So I'm going to get this out. You want to put a rag or something down in this area so it doesn't cause a mess. I'll do that, and because this thing is slipping so much, I'll be right back. Okay, normally my wife takes the car to the dealership. They have the oil change, and I think they're the ones that broke this last time they did the oil change, because this will want to keep smacking this, and this is just cheap plastic. You always put your cap back on too. You don't want dirt to fall in once the oil's all drained out. So But here's the old oil filter. I don't think they ever changed this oil filter at the dealership. I mean, look at the new one and look at that one. That's the new one. It comes with a new O-ring that you're going to have to pop this O-ring off here. And this is a very messy job. And let me get this off and changed. I have the area cleaned up around there. You can see down there. I want to make sure that's clean before you put the new one back on. And they had this on so freaking tight also. It's not necessary to make this so tight. And let me show you what they did with the drain plug. I ended up having to do them because I broke my wrench and I broke my socket, my ratchet. I had to get a pipe wrench and put a pipe wrench on here just to get this drain plug off. So I'm going to have to go and buy a new drain plug because this was on so freaking tight. I had a 3-foot pipe wrench putting all my pressure on it just to get this oil drain plug off, which is unnecessary. You do not need to put a drain plug on that tight. So let me get this changed and I'll be right back. Once you get this all dried up and cleaned out, the next thing you want to do is you want to take that O-ring off, and right there's a little notch that you want to get you like a little hook or maybe a screwdriver. You want to just get it underneath that notch and then pop that O-ring up like that, and then you want to take it off and put the new one on. Okay, I got the new O-ring on, and before you put it installed back on the car, you want to make sure you put a nice thin coat of oil around the oil ring, which I'll do here in a minute. But next I want to show you the putting the new oil filter on. You can only be put on one way, and if you can see right down in there, this is where this part is going to snap right in there. So when you push it in, you want to push it in until you hear a snap. See if you do this one-handed. You hear that snap? That's ready to go. Now all you want to do is coat this O-ring and then put it back in position over there. Now once again, be careful for this thing. This thing has a lot of pressure on it, and if you put it over here, it's going to snap this, which is very fragile. I don't want to snap it as brand new. So I held it with my other hand and I put the oil filter down in there and I'm screwing it in, and I'm only going to screw it in hand tight right now. Like that. Then I'm going to get the wrench and I'm just going to snug it up. You don't want to do it really, really tight because this is plastic. The next thing we want to do is we want to put this hose back on and get that tightened up, and then reconnect this, and then we'll get ready to add the oil. I got the new drain plug here, and it's a M14-1.50. It costs $5.49. And yes, it looks different because I wanted a bigger nut, because this is 10 millimeter and this is 12. I got my wrench here because this is a bad design, if you ask me my opinion. This tiny little nut, terrible. And whoever put it on before tightened it way too tight. You always want to check your drain plug anyways and make sure that the gasket is still good. Sometimes they have rubber, sometimes they have nylon. You know, sometimes they have what they call a crush washer gasket. You see the difference between this new gasket? Sometimes you'll get an oil leak around the drain plug. So let's crawl underneath and put the new one in. Okay, what you want to do is make sure you dry off the area really, really good before you put the new oil plug in. And you want to hand tighten it on first to make sure you get it in right. Alright, got that all nice and snug. We don't want to over tighten it because you'll strip it out, and that new drain plug looks nice. Now time to go and add the oil. Right, this 2014 Checy Cruze Ecotec with the 1.4 calls for 5W30 Dexos. My wife always runs synthetic in this, and this is the oil that we're going to use, the Quaker State full synthetic Dexos motor oil. This is a 5-quart oil thing, and we're going to add 4.5 quarts of oil in it, and we need to get this off and get us a funnel and start adding the oil. Now, if you're wondering how much to add, It has the measurements here on the back, and it will show you. This is 4.5 quarts right here. So let me get that funnel and we'll be right back. Okay, I put about 4.5 quarts of oil in this. We're going to get the oil cap back on and start it up and let it run for a little bit. Okay, so what we want to do is make sure when we start it up, the oil light goes off. Alright. The oil light went off. Now we want to go look and make sure there's no leaks happening. Alright, oil drain plug looks good, no leaks. That's a good sign. Check around the oil filter there. No leaks. I want to make sure I get enough oil filled up into the oil filter there. As you can see, there's no leaking. Feel around my hands, no leaking. No leaking on this because this is very fragile. When you're changing your oil, you want to watch this. It will smack it, it will crack that, and then you will have an overheating problem because this is your reservoir there, overflow reservoir. And this is a dealer item only, it's like 20 bucks. Alright, so we're going to shut it off and we're going to check the oil. A little tech tip here I want to show you, because I had the motor running for a little bit, this oil dipstick will get warm and it won't give you a correct reading. So what you want to do is you want to get you a wet rag or a wet wipe, and you want to cool down the oil dipstick. That way when you dip it in to check the oil level, if it's correct, it will give you a correct reading, because when this oil dipstick is hot, oil is going to stick everywhere on it and you're not going to get a good reading on the tip here. So I always like to get a cold rag and wipe it down and cool down this dipstick. It's just a little tech tip. You don't have to do it, but if you want to get a correct reading, this is the best way to do it. Get your cold rag, or what I'm using right now is a wet wipe, and then we can check the oil and it will give a correct reading. So let's stick this in here and find out if we need to add any more oil or not. Alright, I put about 4.5 quarts of oil in, and as you can see, it's about a half a quart low. Well, we want it up in the grid pattern there. So I'm going to add the rest of the oil and then we'll check it again. Alright, let's check it again. And as you can see, the oil is perfect. There you go. Let's just put this back in. So the way you get to this, you turn the key to the on position, you go to the menu, and then you go to the scroll button till you get to this remaining oil life left. And then you want to press and hold this button. It's going to ask you, are you sure that you want to reset? You turn this right here, you say yes, and then you push that, and it says remaining oil life 100%. It's all set. Then you turn the key up and you're all set. So before we go, make sure the oil cap is on, make sure everything else is in its place, and shut the hood. And that's how you change the oil on a 2014 Chevy Cruze 1.4 Ecotec engine. But before I go, I want to show you one more tech tip. What do you do with all that old oil? Well, because I used the whole 5 quarts of oil here, this is empty. Get you a funnel, get that old oil, pour it right back into this jug, which is empty now, and then keep the cap, put the cap on, and then you can return this back to wherever you bought the oil that accepts recycled oil. There you have it. Thanks for taking the time to watch my videos. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe, don't cost you anything, it's free. And like always, thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. This has been another Bat Auto Repair video. Thanks for watching. I'm going.